She looked me straight in the face and said, "Girls' nights matter more than marriage. Paper means nothing." I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I just packed in silence. When she came home the next day, she found an empty drawer and a note. "By the time you read this, I'm gone. Ask your friends to cover your bills now." Before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop your country or city in the comments. I always love seeing where everyone is watching from. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the clock. 2:47 a.m. Again. I'd stopped waiting up months ago, but sleep had become impossible. Every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night followed the same pattern. Sometimes Wednesdays, too. Jenna would leave around 7 in the evening, a cloud of perfume trailing behind her, and return somewhere between 3 and 5 in the morning, stumbling through the door with her heels in her hand. At 35, I'd always considered myself patient. My friends called me the calm one, the steady one, the guy who thought things through. I'd built a good life as a senior accountant, paid the bills on time, kept the house maintained, and tried to be the kind of husband my father had been to my mother. But lately, patience felt less like a virtue and more like weakness. The front door clicked open. I didn't move from my seat. Jenna appeared in the kitchen doorway, mascara smudged beneath her eyes, her designer dress wrinkled. She was 32, still beautiful, still the woman I'd fallen in love with 5 years ago. But something had changed over the past 8 months. Something fundamental. "You're still up?" she said, her voice thick with alcohol and irritation. "Couldn't sleep," I replied quietly. "Well, don't wait up for me. I've told you that 1,000,000 times." She kicked off her heels and opened the refrigerator, pulling out a bottle of water. "God, you're always so mopey lately." "Jenna, we need to talk." She groaned, tilting her head back dramatically. "Not this again. It's 3 in the morning, Michael. I'm exhausted." "You're always exhausted when I try to talk to you. Because you always want to talk about the same boring thing." She slammed the refrigerator door. "I went out with my friends. It's not a crime. It's called having a social life." 4 nights a week? My voice remained calm, but my jaw tightened. "Coming home at 4 a.m.? Spending $300 on drinks and Ubers? Oh, here we go. The money lecture." Jenna rolled her eyes and started walking toward the bedroom. "I work too, you know. I can spend my own money." "Our money," I corrected, following her. "We have joint accounts, Jenna, and your part-time job at the boutique doesn't cover your bar tabs. You spent $1,800 last month on nights out alone." Jenna spun around in the hallway, her eyes flashing with anger. "Are you seriously tracking my spending now? What are you, my father?" "I'm your husband, and I'm trying to talk to you about our marriage." "Our marriage is fine," she shouted. "You're the one with the problem. You're the one who wants to sit home every single night like an old man. I'm 32, Michael. I'm not ready to just shrivel up and die." "I'm not asking you to shrivel up and die. I'm asking you to spend some time with your husband. When was the last time we had dinner together? When was the last time we watched a movie or went on a date or had a conversation that lasted more than 5 minutes? Jenna pulled off her jewelry and dropped it on the dresser with a clatter. "We're having a conversation right now, and I already hate it. This is exactly why I go out, Michael. You're suffocating. You're boring. All you do is complain." The word boring hit me like a slap. I stood there in the bedroom doorway, watching my wife of 3 years strip off her dress and toss it on the floor, not caring that I was standing right there, not caring about anything I'd just said. "I'm not trying to control you," I said quietly. "I just miss you." "Well, maybe if you were more fun, I'd want to stay home." Jenna climbed into bed and turned her back to me. "Close the door on your way out. I need to sleep." I stood there for a long moment, staring at her back, at the woman who used to curl into my arms every night, who used to laugh at my jokes, who used to look at me like I was the most important person in the world. I closed the door softly and returned to the kitchen table. The pattern continued. Every conversation ended the same way. Every attempt I made to connect was met with dismissal, eye rolls, or accusations. You're controlling. You're insecure. You're ruining my life. I tried different approaches. I suggested marriage counseling. Jenna laughed and said we didn't need it. I suggested date nights. Jenna agreed, then canceled last minute because Chloe or Vanessa or Tara had invited her out. I tried planning a weekend getaway. Jenna said she'd already committed to a girls' trip to Miami. You can go on guys' trips too, she'd said, as if that solved everything. But I didn't want guys' trips. I wanted my wife. The financial strain grew worse. Credit card statements showed charges at clubs I'd never heard of. Bottles of champagne at $400 each. Late-night food deliveries, shopping sprees the day after nights out, buying new outfits for the next night out. I paid the mortgage alone, the utilities, the car insurance, the groceries. Meanwhile, Jenna's paychecks from her part-time boutique job disappeared into her lifestyle. I deserve to have fun, she'd say whenever I brought it up. I deserve to enjoy my life. And I would nod because I couldn't argue with that. Everyone deserved to have fun. Everyone deserved to enjoy life. But didn't I deserve a partner? Didn't our marriage deserve some attention? The real breaking point came on a Thursday night in October. I had made dinner, something I rarely did anymore since Jenna was never home to eat it. But that afternoon she'd texted saying she'd be home early, that maybe we could watch something together. I'd felt a flutter of hope. Maybe she was finally hearing me. Maybe things could change. I made her favorite, chicken piccata, with garlic green beans and roasted potatoes. I set the table with candles. I opened a bottle of the wine she liked. 6 o'clock came and went, then 7, then 8. At 8:47, Jenna burst through the door in a tight black dress and heels, her makeup already done, her purse over her shoulder. "Oh my God, I'm running so late," she said, rushing past the dining room without even glancing at the table. "Vanessa's been texting me for 20 minutes. I stood up from the table, the food now cold. "You said you'd be home early." "I am home early. I just need to change shoes and then I'm heading out." She disappeared into the bedroom. I followed her, my patience finally cracking. "Jenna, I made dinner. You said we'd spend the evening together." "I never said that." She was digging through her closet, tossing shoes onto the floor. "You texted me. You said you'd be home early. I assumed—" "Well, you assumed wrong." She found the shoes she wanted and sat on the bed to put them on. "Vanessa's birthday is tonight. I told you about this last week." "You didn't tell me about this." "I definitely did. You just don't listen." She stood up, checked herself in the mirror, and grabbed her purse. "Don't wait up." "Jenna." My voice was firmer now, an edge of anger finally breaking through. "Stop. Please just stop for 1 second and look at me." She paused at the bedroom door, her hand on the frame, and turned to face me with an expression of pure annoyance. "What, Michael? What do you want?" "I want my wife back," I said, and my voice cracked slightly. "I want the woman I married. I want someone who cares about me, who wants to spend time with me, who treats this marriage like it matters." Jenna's face hardened. "Oh my God, you're so dramatic. I'm going out with friends, not having an affair. You act like I'm committing some terrible crime." 4 nights a week, Jenna. You're gone 4 nights a week. You spend thousands of dollars we don't have. You come home drunk, sleep until noon, and then complain that I'm boring when I ask you to have dinner with me. When did I become the enemy? When did our marriage become the thing you're trying to escape from? "You're suffocating me," she shouted, her voice rising to match mine. "Every single conversation is the same. You guilt-trip me, you track my spending, you sit around moping like some sad puppy waiting for me to come home. It's pathetic, Michael. It's honestly pathetic." The word hung in the air between us. Pathetic. I felt something inside me go very still and very cold. "Is that really what you think of me?" I asked quietly. I think you need to get a life, Jenna said, her voice cruel in a way I'd never heard before. I think you need to stop acting like my jailer and start acting like a husband who wants his wife to be happy. My friends don't make me feel guilty for living my life. My friends don't track every dollar I spend. My friends actually want me around. I want you around. That's the entire point of everything I've been saying. No, you want me to be someone I'm not. Jenna's hands were shaking now, her voice reaching a fever pitch. You want me to be some boring housewife who stays home every night, cooking dinner and waiting for her husband like it's 1950. That's not who I am, Michael. That's never been who I am. I'm not asking you to be a housewife. I'm asking you to be present in your own marriage. And I'm telling you that girls' nights matter more to me than sitting on this couch watching Netflix with you. She stepped closer, her face flushed with anger and wine. Girls' nights matter more than this marriage. Marriage is just paper, Michael. It's just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean I have to give up my entire life and identity. I stared at her. The candles in the dining room had burned down to stubs. The dinner I'd made sat cold on the table. And my wife had just told me that our marriage was just paper, that her friends mattered more than I did. Say something, Jenna demanded when the silence stretched too long. But I had nothing left to say. The anger had drained out of me, replaced by a clarity so sharp it almost hurt. That was the moment I realized she wasn't my wife, just someone temporarily sharing my address. Have fun tonight, I said quietly. Jenna blinked, caught off guard by my sudden calm. What? Have fun at Vanessa's birthday. She narrowed her eyes, suspicious. Are you being sarcastic? No. I stepped past her and walked down the hallway. I mean it. Have fun. Michael. But I'd already gone into my office and closed the door. Jenna stood in the bedroom for a moment, confused and vaguely unsettled. Then she shook her head, checked her makeup one more time, and left. The front door closed at 7:23 p.m. I sat at my desk, staring at the wall, Jenna's words echoing in my mind. Girls' nights matter more than marriage. Paper means nothing. I opened my laptop and started making a list. The next morning, Jenna slept until noon. I had already been awake for 6 hours. I'd spent the night in my office, not sleeping, just thinking and planning. By the time the sun rose, I knew exactly what I needed to do. The realization hadn't been dramatic. There'd been no moment of rage or breakdown. Instead, there'd been a quiet, calm acceptance that my marriage was already over. It had been over for months. I'd just been too hopeful, too patient, too desperate to fix something that couldn't be fixed. Jenna had told me the truth last night, even if she hadn't meant to. She'd told me that I didn't matter, that our marriage didn't matter, that everything I'd been trying to save was, in her eyes, just paper. So I would treat it like paper, too. I waited until Jenna left for her shift at the boutique before I started. She stumbled out of the bedroom around 12:30, hungover and irritable, grabbed a coffee, and left without saying a word to me. The moment her car pulled out of the driveway, I got to work. First, I called my bank. I explained that I needed to open a new personal checking account, separate from the joint account I shared with my wife. The process took 20 minutes. I transferred exactly half of our savings, my portion, into the new account. I left her half untouched. I wasn't trying to steal from her. I was separating what was mine. Then I called the credit card company, the joint card that Jenna had been using for her nights out, the one that I paid off every month, the one with the $4,000 balance from the past 6 weeks alone. I explained that I wanted to close the account. I'll need the other cardholder's permission, the representative said. I'm the primary account holder, I explained. The account is in my name. She's an authorized user. Oh, in that case you can remove her authorization and close the account whenever you'd like. I'd like to do it now. Within 10 minutes the card was canceled. I paid off the balance in full from my new personal account. Jenna's card would be declined the next time she tried to use it. Next, I logged into our utility accounts. Electric, gas, water, internet, all in my name. I changed the passwords. Then I checked the car insurance. Both cars were on the same policy, but I was the policyholder. I called and removed Jenna's car from the policy, effective immediately. "Are you sure?" the agent asked. "She'll need to get her own policy right away or she'll be driving uninsured." "I'm sure," I said. I worked methodically, going through every shared account, every service, every connection between us. I wasn't trying to sabotage her. I was simply separating our lives. The rent was in both our names, but I had paid it alone for the past year. I printed out bank statements showing the payments coming solely from my account. I printed out credit card statements showing Jenna's spending. I printed out everything, organized it into folders, and stored it in my office safe. Then I called a lawyer. "I need to understand my options," I told the attorney during the consultation. "I'm planning to leave my wife, and I want to make sure I do everything correctly." The lawyer asked questions. How long had we been married? Were there children? Who owned what? What was the financial situation? I answered everything calmly and factually. The lawyer took notes. "In your state, with a marriage this short and no kids, it's pretty straightforward," the lawyer explained. "You'll need to file for divorce, go through the waiting period, divide any shared assets. Based on what you're telling me, it sounds like most of the assets are in your name or were purchased with your income." "Yes. And she has her own income. Part-time, about $15,000 a year." "Okay. She could potentially claim alimony, but given the short marriage and the fact that she's employable, it's unlikely she'd get much, if anything. You'll want to document everything, though. Spending patterns, income records, all of it." I had already started. I hired the lawyer on the spot, paid the retainer, and started the process. I didn't tell Jenna. I didn't tell anyone. For the next 2 weeks, I lived a double life. On the surface, everything appeared normal. I went to work, came home, ate dinner alone, and slept in the guest room while Jenna went out with her friends. She didn't even notice that I'd moved into another bedroom. She came home too late and left too early to care. But behind the scenes, I was systematically dismantling our shared life. I found a small one-bedroom apartment across town. Nothing fancy, just a quiet place with good light and no memories. I signed the lease, paid first and last month's rent, and got the keys. I didn't move anything in yet. I was waiting for the right moment. I packed slowly, carefully, a few items each day, some clothes into a suitcase in my office closet, important documents, my laptop, my favorite books, family photos. I took only what was mine, nothing that belonged to Jenna, nothing we'd bought together. I didn't want anything from this house except my own possessions. Jenna didn't notice. She was too busy planning her next night out, texting her friends, scrolling through social media. Our lives had become so separate that I could have moved half my things out and she wouldn't have seen. One evening, I was packing a box in my office when Jenna appeared in the doorway. "What are you doing?" she asked. My heart jumped, but I kept my voice steady. "Organizing some old files for work. Tax season prep." She wrinkled her nose. "God, that sounds boring." She turned to leave, then paused. "Hey, do you know why my credit card isn't working? I tried to buy a dress today and it got declined." "Did you call the company?" "No, I figured you'd know. You always handle that stuff." "Maybe you're at your limit," I suggested, not looking up from my box. Jenna huffed. "Can you call them and fix it? I need to order an Uber later." "I'll look into it," I said, which wasn't a lie. I had looked into it. I'd canceled it. She left, satisfied with that non-answer, and I went back to packing. The documents were key. Birth certificates, social security cards, tax returns, medical records, the title to my car, my passport, everything important. I made copies of shared documents, bank statements showing my contributions to the household, evidence of Jenna's spending. My lawyer had told me to document everything, so that's what I did. I also documented the nights out. Every time Jenna left, I noted the time. Every time she came home, I noted that too. I wasn't tracking her to be controlling. I was protecting myself, gathering evidence in case she tried to claim I was the problem, that I'd abandoned her or failed as a husband. The truth was in the timestamps. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., sometimes 5. 4 nights a week, sometimes 5. While I was home alone, paying the bills, maintaining the house, being the responsible adult she seemed to think was so pathetic. As the days passed, I felt a strange sense of peace settling over me. The decision was made. The plan was in motion. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was just done. I thought about writing her a long letter, explaining everything, pouring out all the pain and frustration and disappointment. But what would be the point? She'd made her choice. She'd told me exactly how she felt. Girls' nights mattered more than marriage. Paper meant nothing, so I would take her at her word. The night I chose to leave was a Friday. Of course it was. Jenna had plans, as always, some club downtown that one of her friends had gotten them VIP access to. She came out of the bedroom at 7 p.m., dressed in a short silver dress that probably cost $300, her makeup perfect, her hair in loose waves. She looked beautiful. She always did. "How do I look?" she asked, twirling. "Beautiful," I said honestly. She smiled, pleased. "Thanks. Okay, I'm heading out. Chloe's picking me up in 10 minutes. "Have fun," I said. Jenna grabbed her purse and keys, then paused at the door. She turned back to me, and for just a second, something flickered across her face. Uncertainty, maybe. Or guilt. But it was gone before I could identify it. "Don't wait up," she said, like she always did. "I won't," I replied, and I meant it. The door closed. Her friend's car pulled up, music thumping from the speakers. Jenna climbed in, laughing, and they drove away. I stood at the window and watched the taillights disappear down the street. Then I went to work. I'd already moved most of my important things to the new apartment over the past 2 weeks. Tonight was just the final load. Clothes, toiletries, a few kitchen items I'd bought myself, my laptop and work files. I moved through the house methodically, checking every room, making sure I hadn't forgotten anything. In the bedroom, I opened Jenna's drawer, the one where she kept her jewelry and makeup. I left everything exactly as it was, but in my drawer, I left it completely empty except for a single piece of paper. A note. I had thought carefully about what to write. I'd drafted and redrafted it a dozen times. In the end, I kept it simple. The note read, "By the time you read this, I'm gone. You told me that girls' nights matter more than marriage, that our marriage is just paper and means nothing. I heard you. I believe you. So I'm taking you at your word. I've removed myself from all joint accounts and services. You'll need to set up your own utilities, insurance, and credit cards. Your half of the savings is still in the joint account, untouched. I've taken only what's mine. The rent is due on the 1st. You'll need to figure out if you can afford this place on your own or find somewhere else to live. I've fulfilled my obligations. The rest is up to you. Ask your friends to cover your bills now. After all, they matter more. Don't contact me. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce. Michael." I placed the note in the empty drawer, closed it, and stood there for a moment, looking around the bedroom one last time. This room held so many memories, good ones from the early years, painful ones from the recent months, but none of them belonged to me anymore. I picked up my last suitcase and walked out. I didn't see what happened when Jenna came home the next day. I wasn't there, but I can imagine it. She probably came home around noon, still drunk or hung over from whatever bottomless brunch her friends had dragged her to after the club. She probably fumbled with her keys at the front door, probably wanted nothing more than to collapse into bed for the next 6 hours. I imagine she dropped her purse on the floor, kicked off her heels, and headed straight for the bedroom. The house probably felt different to her, quieter somehow, but she was likely too hungover to think about it. She probably peeled off her dress, left it in a heap on the floor, and went to grab one of my old t-shirts to sleep in. Except when she opened my drawer to grab one, the drawer was empty. Completely empty. I picture her staring at it, confused. Where were my shirts? My socks? My boxer briefs? She would have opened another drawer. Empty. Then another. Empty. Her heart probably started to beat faster. She would have gone to the closet and thrown open the doors. My side was bare. No suits, no casual clothes, no shoes. Everything was gone. "Michael?" I imagine her calling out, her voice cracking slightly. "Michael, are you here?" No answer, of course. She probably ran through the house, checking every room. My office was cleaned out, the desk empty, my computer gone. The guest bathroom where I'd been keeping my toiletries was stripped bare. The kitchen, the living room, everywhere she looked, pieces of me were missing. Back in the bedroom, she would have yanked open my nightstand drawer, the one where I kept random things, charging cables and chapstick and loose change. Empty. Except for a single piece of white paper, folded once, with her name written on the outside in my careful handwriting. I wasn't there to see her hands shake as she picked it up. I wasn't there to see her unfold it slowly, her hungover brain struggling to process what was happening. But I knew she'd read every word. By the time you read this, I'm gone. I wonder if her knees went weak. I wonder if she sat down hard on the edge of the bed. You told me that girls' nights matter more than marriage, that our marriage is just paper and means nothing. I heard you. I believe you. So I'm taking you at your word. I imagine her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. No, this couldn't be happening. I was just being dramatic. I was trying to scare her. I'd come back. I always came back. I've removed myself from all joint accounts and services. You'll need to set up your own utilities, insurance, and credit cards. Your half of the savings is still in the joint account, untouched. I've taken only what's mine. She probably grabbed her phone from her purse with trembling hands and opened her banking app. The joint account would have shown $4,200, half of what had been there 2 weeks ago. Her credit card would have shown a zero balance, but when she tried to use it to order Uber Eats, it would have been declined. Declined. The rent is due on the 1st. I imagine her looking at the calendar on her phone. October 28th. The 1st was 4 days away. Rent was $2,800. She had $4,200 in the bank, which meant after rent she'd have $1,400 left for the entire month, for utilities, food, gas, everything. Ask your friends to cover your bills now. After all, they matter more. I wonder if she read that line again, if she could hear my voice saying the words, calm and cold and final. Don't contact me. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce. Divorce. The word probably hit her like a physical blow. I was divorcing her. I was actually divorcing her. By the time Jenna started frantically scrolling through her phone notifications, I was already in my new apartment, unpacking boxes, finally breathing freely for the first time in months. 3 days after I left, Jenna called me. I'd been expecting it, honestly. I'd thought she'd call immediately, the moment she read the note. But she'd waited 3 days, and when I finally answered, I could hear the desperation in her voice. "Michael, please call me. We need to talk about this." Then, "You're being ridiculous. Just come home and we'll figure this out." Then, "I'm sorry about what I said. I didn't mean it. Please just answer your phone." Finally, "Michael, answer me." I'd let them all go to voicemail. I'd changed my voicemail message to something cold and impersonal. "You've reached Michael Chen. I'm unable to take your call. Don't leave a message." The texts kept coming. I didn't block her right away. I wanted to see them. I wanted to watch her panic. Is that cruel? Maybe. But I'd spent 8 months begging for her attention, for her care, for her to just acknowledge that I mattered. And now that I'd left, now that the money was gone, suddenly, she wanted to talk. On the third day, I decided to answer, not because I wanted to reconcile, not because I felt guilty, but because I wanted her to hear it from me, directly, that I was done. "Hello? Michael." Her voice was hoarse from crying. "Michael, please, we need to talk." "No, we don't." "Yes, we do. You can't just leave like this. You can't just disappear and expect me to figure everything out alone." "You told me you wanted to figure everything out alone," I said quietly. "You told me that marriage meant nothing to you, that I was suffocating you, that your friends mattered more than I did. So now you get what you wanted. You're free." "I didn't mean it," Jenna said desperately. "I was angry. I was drunk. I didn't mean any of it." "Yes, you did." The certainty in my voice must have made her stomach drop. "Michael, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I took you for granted. But please, just come home and we'll fix this. We'll go to counseling. I'll cut back on going out, I promise." "You've promised before. This time is different." "No, it's not." I kept my voice maddeningly calm. "Jenna, I spent 8 months trying to save our marriage, 8 months trying to talk to you, to connect with you, to matter to you. And every single time, you made it clear that I was the problem, that I was boring, controlling, pathetic. You said girls' nights mattered more than marriage. You said paper meant nothing. It was just words. I was upset." "Words matter," I said, "and even if you didn't mean those specific words, your actions proved them true. You chose your friends over me every single night. You spent our money on your lifestyle while I paid all the bills. You treated me like a roommate you resented, not a husband you loved. I got the message, Jenna, loud and clear." She was crying now, ugly sobs that made it hard for her to breathe. "So that's it? You're just going to throw away 3 years of marriage? You're not even going to try?" "I tried for 8 months," I said, and for the first time, I let emotion creep into my voice. Pain. "I tried so hard, Jenna. I begged you to spend time with me. I asked you to have dinner with me, to watch a movie, to just be present. And every time, you acted like I was asking you to give up your entire identity. All I wanted was my wife, and you made me feel like that was too much to ask." "It wasn't too much," Jenna whispered. "You're right. Everything you're saying is right. I was selfish and awful, and I took you for granted. But I can change. I swear I can change." "Maybe you can," I said. "But I can't do this anymore. I can't keep hoping you'll choose me. I can't keep being the backup plan while you live your life. I deserve better than that. So I'm just supposed to figure out how to survive on my own? I can't afford this apartment, Michael. I can't pay the bills. What am I supposed to do?" There was a long silence on my end of the line. Then I said, very quietly, "You could ask your friends to help. After all, they matter more than marriage." And I hung up. I stared at the phone for a moment, my hand trembling slightly. I'd used her own words against her. The words she'd thrown at me in anger, the words she'd meant to hurt me, and they had hurt me. God, they'd hurt me. But I'd turned that pain into action, into freedom. I blocked her number after that. I didn't want to hear any more apologies, any more promises. They were too late. She'd had 8 months to change, 8 months to see me, to value me, to treat our marriage like it mattered. She'd made her choice. Now I'd made mine. Over the next few weeks, I settled into my new life. My small apartment was quiet, peaceful, mine. I went to work, came home, made dinner for one. I watched whatever I wanted on TV. I went to bed when I felt like it and woke up without checking the clock to see when Jenna had come home. Because she didn't come home. She wasn't part of my life anymore. My friends were supportive, though some of them seemed shocked. "You guys seemed fine," one of them said. "I had no idea things were that bad." "That's because you only saw us at social events," I said. "You never saw what it was like at home. how she was never there, how I'd become invisible to her. They nodded, understanding. Some of them shared their own stories of relationships that had slowly deteriorated, of partners who'd taken them for granted until they'd finally had enough. I wasn't alone in this experience, but that didn't make it hurt any less. 1 month after I left, I got a text from an unknown number. It took me a moment to realize it was from Vanessa, Jenna's best friend. "Michael, what you did was really cruel. Jenna is devastated. She's working 2 jobs just to survive. She's lost everything. I hope you're happy." I stared at the text for a long moment. Then I typed back, "I'm not happy that Jenna is struggling, but I'm also not responsible for it. She made choices. She chose her lifestyle over her marriage. She chose nights out over financial responsibility. She chose her friends over her husband. Those were her choices, not mine. I simply stopped enabling them. Tell Jenna I hope she figures things out, but don't contact me again." I blocked Vanessa's number too. I wasn't going to let Jenna's friends guilt me into coming back. They were the ones who'd encouraged her behavior, who'd told her to live her best life, who'd made her feel like I was the problem for wanting my wife to be present in our marriage. And now that Jenna needed help, where were they? According to the lawyer's documents that had started arriving, Jenna had asked multiple friends for loans. Every single one had said no. Girls' nights mattered more than marriage, Jenna had said. But apparently, girls' nights didn't matter when bills needed to be paid. 6 weeks after I left, I was at the grocery store when I ran into Jenna. I saw her first. She was in the produce section, looking thin and tired, wearing clothes I didn't recognize. Cheaper clothes. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup, no expensive accessories. She looked exhausted. For a moment, I considered leaving before she saw me. But then she looked up, and our eyes met. I watched the emotions flicker across her face. Surprise, pain, shame, hope. "Michael," she said softly. "Jenna." I nodded politely, my basket in hand. "How are you?" She swallowed hard. "I'm okay. Working a lot, trying to figure things out." "Good. I'm glad you're figuring it out." She looked like she wanted to say more, like there were 1,000 words trapped in her throat. But in the end, all she said was, "I'm sorry. For everything. You deserve so much better than how I treated you." I studied her face. She meant it. I could see that she genuinely meant it. But apologies didn't erase months of neglect. Apologies didn't undo the damage. "Thank you," I said quietly. "I appreciate that. I know it doesn't change anything. I know we're done. I just needed you to hear it. For what it's worth, I hope you're doing okay." "I am," she said, and I could see in her eyes that it was at least partially true. "I'm figuring things out. Finally." "Good. I'm glad." There was another pause. Then I said, "I should go. Take care of yourself, Jenna." "You too." I walked away, pushing my cart toward the checkout lanes. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. That closure, that brief conversation, was enough. She'd apologized. I'd accepted it. We'd both moved on. It wasn't a happy ending, but it was an ending. And sometimes, that was enough. 3 months after I left Jenna, I went on my first date. Her name was Emma. We'd met through a mutual friend, and she'd asked me out for coffee. I'd hesitated at first, not sure I was ready, but something in her smile, in the way she'd looked genuinely interested when I talked about my work, made me say yes. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a movie. And slowly, carefully, I started to open up again. Emma was nothing like Jenna. She was quiet where Jenna had been loud. She preferred small gatherings to big parties. She liked cooking dinner at home, watching old movies, taking walks in the park. She was in many ways exactly what Jenna had accused me of wanting. Someone boring, someone stable, someone who valued the simple things, and I loved it. "Tell me about your marriage," Emma said one evening as we sat on my couch, sharing a bottle of wine. Only if you want to, of course. I know it's still fresh. I thought about it for a moment. Then I told her everything. The nights alone, the fights, the slow deterioration of our relationship, the final argument, the words that had broken me. Girls' nights matter more than marriage. Paper means nothing. Emma was quiet for a long moment after I finished. Then she said, "Marriage isn't just paper. It's a promise. It's choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when you'd rather be somewhere else." I looked at her, at this woman I'd only known for a few weeks, and felt something in my chest loosen. "That's exactly what I tried to tell her," I said, but she didn't want to hear it. "Then she wasn't ready for marriage," Emma said simply. "Some people aren't, and that's okay. But it's not fair to drag someone else down with you while you figure that out." She got it. She understood. And she wasn't judging me for leaving, wasn't making me feel guilty for putting myself first. "For what it's worth," Emma said, reaching out to take my hand, "I think you did the right thing. Walking away when someone doesn't value you isn't giving up. It's self-respect." I squeezed her hand, feeling grateful and hopeful in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. 6 months after I left Jenna, the divorce was finalized. I received the papers in the mail, crisp and official, declaring that our marriage was over. Jenna had signed without contesting anything. According to my lawyer, she'd moved out of our old apartment into a small studio across town. She was working full-time now, some administrative job at a dental office. She'd quit her part-time boutique job and her second job waitressing. She was surviving. That was good. I didn't wish her ill. I just didn't want to be part of her life anymore. I filed the divorce decree away in my desk drawer and closed it. That chapter was over. Emma came over that evening. We cooked dinner together. Something simple. Pasta with vegetables and garlic bread. We ate at my small kitchen table, talking about our days, laughing at stupid jokes. After dinner, we curled up on the couch to watch a movie. Emma rested her head on my shoulder, her hand in mine, and I felt a peace I hadn't felt in years. This was what partnership was supposed to feel like. Easy, comfortable, natural. Not desperate fights and lonely nights. Not tracking credit card statements and documenting neglect. Not begging for scraps of attention from someone who'd already checked out. "What are you thinking about?" Emma asked, looking up at me. "I'm thinking about how happy I am," I said honestly. "How different my life is now." She smiled. "Different better, I hope." So much better. And it was true. Leaving Jenna had been the hardest thing I'd ever done, but staying would have been harder. Staying would have killed me slowly, piece by piece, until there was nothing left of the person I used to be. I'd chosen myself. Finally. And for the first time in a very long time, I was happy. Marriage wasn't just paper. It was commitment, partnership, love. It was choosing someone every day and having them choose you back. Jenna had stopped choosing me, so I'd stopped choosing her. It wasn't revenge, it wasn't punishment. It was just the inevitable ending to a story that had stopped being about love. I set the table for two, prepared the meals I wanted, and lived my life on my own terms. The past was behind me, and the future looked bright.